Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing an obby, and today it's going to be starting from here. So I'm going to be standing on this, and then I'm going to go to here, all the way to here, but I'm going to be on here, get here, but on this obby, I got to get this, and I got to get this. This way. Alright, y'all. I'm about to start this obby right now.
Since the death of Whitney Houston's daughter, Bobby Christina Brown. And it had been more than a year since the incident that killed her. One that bore a horrifying resemblance to the accident that took her mother's life.
How many people that you know have died in the bathtub of a drug overdose? Not too many. And then you have a mom and daughter die the exact same way. That's creepy.
There has never, in the history of life, I can't find it, I don't know anybody else that can, a mother and a daughter found in a bathtub?
But were the bizarre similarities between their deaths more than just coincidence?
It is an amazing coincidence that you have very similar situations. It makes me ask some deadly serious questions.
Questions that revolved around Bobby Christina's so-called husband, Nick Gordon.
Prior to her death, Nick Gordon and Bobby Christina had one of their usual fights, which turned violent.
However, Nick's role in Bobby Christina's death wasn't all some people questioned. Thanks to the final text Whitney's daughter had sent a friend, just hours before the tragedy that claimed her life.
These were her last chilling words. What I found out, I'm devastated.
And what was the dark secret that Bobby Christina uncovered? No one knows for sure, but could it have something to do with what Nick supposedly told his birth mother?
He was actually one of the first people who attempted to revive Whitney with CPR.
He was at both locations.
But was the fact that Nick had been among the first on the scene in both deaths more than just a coincidence? Private investigator Paul Hubel believes that Gordon may have had a motive to get rid of Whitney.
If the assets were in possession of Bobby Christina, that would put Nick Gordon much closer to being able to have all the money he wants.
But on March 4th, 2016, when the Fulton County, Georgia Medical Examiner's Office finally released the results of Bobby Christina's autopsy, speculation that Nick had played a role in her death kicked into overdrive. After more than 6 months of rumors, the autopsy appeared to confirm eyewitness accounts of a violent argument shortly before Bobby Christina's death.
A tooth was knocked out. There was signs of struggle.
And in another chilling parallel, the report revealed that Bobby Christina died with the exact same mix of drugs in her body as her mother had.
If you believe the conspiracy theorists, there was indeed enough evidence to suggest that this wasn't a coincidence.
The same people that was around with Whitney are the same people that was around Chrissy. During the time Whitney's death, the same people, on their watch, this happened.
However, unlike her mother's death, the autopsy didn't rule Bobby Christina's death an accident. Instead, findings list her cause of death as undetermined.
The death of Bobby Christina remains an unsolved mystery.
But for how long? In October of 2015, the National Enquirer reported that the Fulton County DA's office secretly convened a grand jury to look into the matter.
That the very focus of that grand jury investigation is Nick Gordon and whether or not he's liable for Bobby Christina Brown's death.
It is still a real possibility that he might face a murder charge.
Everybody that is involved with the murder of Bobby Christina and Whitney as well, I am hoping that they be brought up on charges.
A larger-than-life performer who wowed audiences with his powerful presence and musical genius. Prince's world was shrouded in secrecy, the artist keeping his life private.
There were a lot of walls and a lot of boundaries that were put up to keep a lot of people out, even in his inner circle.
Celebrity Page unlocking those secrets, revealing a side of the musician never seen before.
He and Prince actually got into this knockdown, drag-out fight about what his name would be.
Details of his quiet generosity that's still making an impact.
They just get an anonymous check. Almost nobody would put it together. And we'd laugh sometimes.
What went on behind the walls of his private compound?
It was eclectic. There was an energy about it. You knew you were inside of the great Paisley Park.
The trauma he endured that turned him into the icon we know today, and the bombshells still to come.
I think every twist and turn through this estate that could last years and years is going to be a potential fight.
It's all coming up on Celebrity Page Presents Prince, The Secret Life. Born in Minneapolis to musical parents, Prince Rogers Nelson overcame tough obstacles to become a superstar.
He was an incredibly shy child, terribly so, and he would spend hours playing by himself, isolated from other kids, other people in his life. He was born with epilepsy, so he had to deal with that, and also he was bullied at school. He suffered isolation at home. He was picked on because he was unusual. He was a different kid to the rest of his school.
He ate lunch every day by himself. He was a loner, they say, and that's kind of how he liked it.
Brandy Powell, an anchor and reporter at KSTP in Minneapolis, talked with a man who was able to break through the walls the deeply guarded star had built.
Art Erickson is his name, so at the time he actually worked part-time at a church and part-time in the community, and this was in South Minneapolis. Part of the work that he did with Prince was going over to his school, going to his lunchroom, and he would actually sit with Prince every week, every other week. Prince was by himself. And he said he tried to talk to him. He tried to get him to open up. And really keeping to himself was something that he really said, and the other people I've talked with really said that Prince kind of wanted to do.
Despite his need to be alone, Prince would join Erickson on a volunteer trip, eventually sharing one of his deepest, darkest secrets.
Prince said
And
that after
she's
his parents got
recording,
divorced, that it was tough. And he said
I'm
that the
recording
man that his
too,
mom was
so
with
it's
lived with
kind
them.
of
And he described
creepy.
how one summer he was
don't
locked in
know.
his room by that man for about 6 weeks. And he was only able to come out to eat, shower, things like that. And Prince said that that's when he learned to play all of these instruments.
Prince's
Hey,
talent was part of his
everybody,
genetic makeup.
it's
Prince's
my
father
turn, so
was
she's
musically
hiding the
adept, and
chips
he
right
played
now.
instruments that the reason
And
why Prince was able to
I'm
learn how to
recording
play the
mine.
piano is because there was a piano in his
So
childhood
when she's
home.
done hiding them, I'm going
The genetic
to get back with
composition
y'all. But for
to
now,
be able
no.
to, he was a genius at it.
Okay,
So he had the
hey,
genes, but he also had the
okay.
environment. And
Okay, she's
the
done.
knowledge,
Let's see how much
fortitude,
time it's
and the
going to take me.
desire to do that as well.
So
That trauma marked
Don't
a
tell
turning
her.
point
I
for Prince,
hide it.
a classmate
Yeah.
remembering
and in our refrigerator. But she's in there right now, so.
To anybody, he hardly emoted. And then he thought about some of Prince's first talent shows. And he said in the talent show, he didn't sing, he didn't dance, but he was playing all of these instruments.
That was an outlet for him, and he became a very talented musician during that time.
I think for him, having access to the stage and creating that persona was his go-to. It was his safe place. It was his creative place. It was the place that everybody loved him.
the love on stage, a stark contrast to family life and isolation at home.
He had a half-brother that he'd barely spoken to. His sister, he didn't have a great relationship with her.
There have been rumors that perhaps the siblings didn't get along.
That loneliness created